Hi, this is Mike again. So you are interested in running for a Minnesota school board? This video reviews some of the things that you should know. Every school in the United States is governed by a board of education. There are more than 14,000 public school districts in the United States, with more than $500 billion invested in public elementary and secondary education each year. That's a lot of money all under local control. How and where that money is invested is a powerful incentive for residents to become involved in the process. Typically, school boards consist of moms and dads who decided to run for school board positions. They set the policies for our elementary, middle, and secondary schools. The existence of these school boards is based upon the idea that neighborhood control of public education and student learning is best handled on a regional basis. The Board of Education serves as a public guard dog, setting instructions and goals for the area, and also helping guarantee that those objectives meet the needs of the local parents and students. The school board also handles other important issues. This includes money and bond issues, class sizes, student educational programs, textbooks, teaching issues, and more. A board's primary duties differ from area to area and state to state but generally include the following: establishes the vision and goals for the district, embraces plans and also sets priorities to achieve its goals. It sets pupil performance standards. They establish school budgets. They establish and approve the school calendar. They review and approve the school curriculum. They review and or employ the superintendent. They pick the transport systems. They authorize agreements with outside suppliers. They handle collective bargaining. The board balances the business of actually running the school district while establishing and monitoring the academic priorities. An election can help bring vital issues to focus. It is one of the most essential elections where voters have direct influence over policy by electing representatives that represent their ideas. So why become a school board candidate? With all that obligation, why would someone want to run for the school board? It's a challenging as well as a frequently thankless job. Possibly there's some issue that you want to transform. Or possibly a problem that is having an impact on the academic success of students in your area. One method to learn more about what is going on in your area is to attend or watch school board meetings as well as research the issues that are of concern to you. Your goals will certainly help you establish your plan. You ought to have a clear vision for what you intend to achieve. You will be working with others in the area, so you'll need to be able to communicate your ideas and work well with a range of individuals. Are you somebody that can do that? If you have a strong desire to run, you will have a much better possibility to win. Do you understand? Competition can be tough. School board members make up the biggest number of elected officials in the United States. Being a Board of Education candidate does not mean that you have to have a history in education or teaching. Actually, in most cases, you don't require to have kids that are in one of the public schools in the district. However, there are some specific requirements you do need to fulfill. Normally, you should be, at the very least 18 or 21 years old. A homeowner living in the state as well as the school district. A non-felon. Someone not employed or involved with the school district. The majority of states additionally call for you to be a registered voter and otherwise qualified for an elected public office. Other neighborhood rules might apply, so you should talk with your school district board liaison to find out if there are any other requirements. For the majority of areas, participants have staggered, 4-year terms. Elections may occur throughout the year, relying on neighborhood election legislation. You ought to know your filing and also fundraising disclosure days. You don't wish to become derailed as a result of technical requirements. Of course, beginning a campaign will take cash in order to cover campaign expenses. One of the first things you should do is to study how much previous races cost by studying financial disclosure data from previous elections which are publicly available. A lot of candidates can't fund their campaign without assistance. You'll need a spending plan as well as a fundraising plan. You'll likewise need volunteers as well as a strategy to communicate your message to the voters of the school district. Your family can be a big aid. They can give input as well as work as campaign team members. You will certainly require a team leader, a treasurer, and a press assistant. It is best for a candidate not to perform in one of these positions as they will be busy at public events and more. Volunteers are also important to help with advertising, fundraising initiatives, and also getting the word out to voters. A volunteer team leader helps recruit others and also keeps them on task. If your political election happens to fall on a day different than the normal general election date in November, encouraging people to vote is also very important. Many of these off-year elections have a much lower turnout than the general or presidential election years. Why run for your local school board? Why not? A school board election campaign can be tough but also can be an exciting experience. It provides a possibility for you to contribute to your school district as well as implement some of your ideas to improve the student's education. School board members add their distinct abilities while working together as a group with other board members and the superintendent. With the betterment of children the ultimate emphasis, school board members collaborate to achieve the board's objectives. Here are some reasons to run for your local school board. You intend to share your time and talents. As a member of a school board, you have an opportunity to share your business and life experience to profit children in your district. You can represent various teams in the neighborhood as well as ensure that others have a voice in making academic as well as administrative decisions. As a school board member, you can be a channel for school issues as well as judge the interests of educators and parents. You can help create more powerful ties between the school board and various other district stakeholders. You have a definitive interest in preserving and improving the high quality of your district schools. You can improve the use of funds in your school district. You can impact the fiscal health of the school district and ensure that taxpayer funds are spent well. You assist in providing a top-quality education product for current and future students. School board members ought to be good communicators as well as great listeners. They need to produce an effective school board campaign platform as well as organize the district priorities. Above all, school board members need to collaborate and work well with others, parents, teachers, district team as well as the state legislature to accomplish success. It doesn't matter if you reside in an urban or rural area, there constantly is a need for talented and caring members. There are some reasons you might not want to run. Running may require a huge time commitment. Some school boards meet twice a month, for meetings that may last several hours as well as go late into the evening. Board members may likewise be on various other subcommittees that meet at other times. Once you become a board member, you might meet with your constituents, particularly throughout times when controversial issues are being discussed. To shield board members, there's typically a chain of command that is typically followed. As an example, the school board does not normally handle issues associated with parent-teacher or parent-administrator concerns. If you have children in the school district, you might fear that teachers or the superintendent, for whatever reason, may take things out on them. If you have a good superintendent, this normally does not occur. Obviously, there are various other reasons why you may think it is not a good idea to run for the school board. Personal vendettas, getting back at school teachers, principals, or using your school board position as a stepping stone for higher office are all reasons not to run for a school board position. However, it is not unusual for a school board member to later run for a citywide elected position or a state office. The experience gained as a school board member can be invaluable in a higher office. However, it should not be the main reason for you to run for the school board. The benefits of being a school board member should exceed the negatives. If you are considering mounting a campaign as a challenger, it is very important to clearly understand your concerns and issues with the current board members. To run, you will certainly need to meet the requirements outlined previously as well as any additional requirements for your particular area. Once you have actually decided to run and you are eligible to do so, the following action is to begin planning your campaign. School board members must establish an energetic function in their district. They establish and vote on policies and treatments. They establish budgets, set trainee efficiency requirements, as well as create conditions that improve the instructional structure of the district. In the majority of areas, they have to be chosen for the school board position. Before launching a school board campaign, there are a few things that should be considered. If you want to run, are prepared to take the job, and are qualified, then you can get started. Are you qualified to run? School board prospects must satisfy particular position requirements. These are established by city and state governments. We outlined some of these requirements previously. Some states call for prospects to submit an application to run for a school board position. Some applications require a filing fee and some other documents. Only after you apply and provide the information required can you start campaigning. You need to get in touch with your state and local election officials to get a list of the requirements for running for a school board position in your area. One of the first steps is to develop a campaign budget if you are qualified to run and are ready to start. The next step is figuring out just how to raise sufficient cash to run your campaign. The prices of school board campaigns have increased in recent years. Costs may vary from hundreds to thousands of dollars, depending upon the area and also the specific race. Suggestion: you will certainly need to open a campaign bank account in order to deposit approved contributions. The earlier you have an account, the sooner you can begin asking for donations. Find out from your local political election board for any requirements. Campaign advertising prices will certainly vary depending on the kinds of marketing that will be done. The biggest expense for many projects remains in items like yard signs, brochures as well as mailings. Additional exposure can come from campaign websites, online advertising, newspaper ads, and also television ads. Figuring out just how much cash it will require to run is critical. Produce a budget based upon your plan and prior experience of candidates in your area. Raise donations as well as start fundraising. As soon as you identify your general campaign costs, you can begin to raise money. Every campaign will certainly raise and use their money differently. Some campaigns are totally self-funded, while others may be grassroots funded by others. You could build a small war chest beforehand by talking to your family and friends. Personal calls and solicitation are an important part of the fundraising process. Other fundraising suggestions include mailings and holding events to raise money. Communicating your plan to the voters. Producing a website as well as using social media is essential in reaching out to prospects and communicating it to the public. Encourage a two-way dialogue with voters in your district and also ask others to share your ideas with others. Typical advertising techniques, such as yard signs, posters as well as letter writing campaigns still work well. Nevertheless, in the last few years, online marketing has actually become a more preferred political marketing medium. Think about connecting via social media advertising and marketing. You can target people by location, age, and also various other demographic information. Starting an email mailing list will certainly allow you to stay connected throughout the campaign. It is less expensive than mailing letters to prospective voters. Text messaging using SMS solutions and pay-per-click ads to communicate with individuals searching for you or your ideas. IP targeting to reach physical house addresses digitally. The election procedure can be complicated. Everyone has a variety of sources and capabilities. The key is to produce and execute a definitive strategy to win the political election. Candidate forums is a normal means of communicating your ideas. Some school boards will hold candidate forums. If your school system holds debates, discover the concerns that your school district is concerned about and stage simulated arguments where you can practice answering questions with pals or family. Let them ask you questions so you can practice responses against district issues before you have to perform live. Study all of the issues so you can recognize both sides of the issue. Discover your weak points and also those of your challengers. Most candidates hold simulated discussions to review the issues and also to prepare themselves for tough debates. Advertise your campaign for the school board now. It's time to get the word out about you as well as your ideas. At this point, you'll have determined the best arguments and ideas to win a seat on the school board. Lawn signs can be placed in voters' yards with permission, obviously. Sales brochures can be distributed or sent by mail. You can begin door-to-door canvassing, as well. If you talk with parents or distribute project literature at a school event, you must obtain permission from the school in advance. You can also promote online, and this is expanding trend for all political prospects. A campaign website can provide the means to advertise fundraising events or perhaps take online contributions. A project website can be used to keep in touch with supporters and send out sample ballots before Election Day. School board prospects can additionally get in touch with others through social media. Prepare yourself for Election Day. As the days count down, enhance your Get Out the Vote campaign with existing communication channels. This might consist of sending out an additional mailing, increasing the frequency of any email, text messaging, and social networks updates. Advocates follow your campaign in different ways, so similar updates can be made across the various channels. In the end, a tactical, detailed strategy can indicate the difference between winning and also shutting your school board election. After the election, as soon as you have won the election, then the actual job begins. Several states and also areas have requirements that have to be followed before participants can begin work. You may be called on to finish a certificate of political election laying out the legal requirements of your position. You also might be required to take an oath before beginning work. After that, you can start your work. With each new election, the board can start by reorganizing the board positions as required. A position on a school board is a wonderful chance to offer your school board and students your talents to improve the district. All school boards have their very own distinct issues. They may involve the management of teachers, students, or educational material. Worried moms and dads and people commonly run for school boards as a method to boost or resolve existing issues. It is one manner in which an individual can have a direct impact on how education and learning is provided in their school district. Next, we will provide a list of sample issues that may determine school board elections. The first issue may be budget issues as well as the district's operating expense. Another is trainee discipline. This can include intimidation and violence problems that face teachers and students. Another might be overcrowding in the classroom. Certainly, bond measures might be an issue. Next might be student achievement as well as screening standards. Another is teacher deficiencies. The curriculum is often an issue, as is intimidation and violence between teachers and/or students. Student actions, such as apathy, disrespect, and also absenteeism often come up. Student expulsion techniques and also the presence of regional law enforcement policemen. Closing schools or moving students to another school can create an issue. Collective bargaining for teachers is often handled by the school board. School area consolidation due to spending plan obstacles can be discussed. Transportation systems, including busing, can be an important topic. Find out what issues are important to your district. Education is constantly an essential issue for voters. From this checklist, maybe you can discover a couple of issues to deal with for your school board campaign. If the problem is big enough, you may be able to utilize that problem as well as your position on it as your campaign style. Public schools face many challenges. Determining those problems is only half the fight. Educators, parents, and school boards need to interact to locate options to enhance education for pupils and also the whole educational system. Most school board candidates connect to family and friends to assist them to begin their campaign. Creating these fundraising letters from scratch can be taxing. Most letter design templates you'll find online are common as well as not geared specifically for school board campaigns. They will need to be tailored for this purpose. A typical fundraising letter begins with a candidate intro, complied with by particular issues and also recommendations for fixing those problems. Then comes an intent to run, and also an ask for assistance in addition to a particular, time-sensitive contribution demand. It's wrapped up with a thank you and reminder regarding the project site where advocates can find out more information and exactly how they can aid. When creating your campaign brochures, you want to place your finest foot forward. Your sales brochure may be the first, last, as well as the only time you will certainly get to a voter. Here are ideas for producing an efficient election brochure that will certainly make an excellent impression on your target citizen. Draw up your material, while remembering the quantity of space you have to work with. Probabilities are you will certainly begin with too much text, and you'll need to cut it down. That's great because you want your copy to be as lean and also to the point as feasible. Bear in mind the overall layout and design of the pamphlet or political handout. For example, if your item is a trifold brochure mailer, 2/3 of one side will be for address info and the cover on the other side. In the other 4 sides of the brochure, attempt to do the following. Maintain to 1 suggestion per paragraph. Use short sentences. Use bullet points where possible to free up as much white space as possible. Use headers as well as split the text right into sections concerning the candidate, issues, ballot information, election date. Include a phone call to action. This is typically a tip to elect on election day or maybe a statement about the prospect or the resistance. These standards should work for both candidates as well as political event pamphlets, political election leaflets. So what makes a good campaign pamphlet? When making political campaign pamphlets, maintain a simple design. Be sure the primary colors of the pamphlet match your various other campaign products, lawn indications, as well as website. Script typefaces must be typically prevented for readability. Keep in mind that making use of even more shades adds to the cost of printing. Ensure the front panel is attention-getting. The front of your brochure ought to communicate your prime idea clearly and succinctly. If it does not, your brochure may wind up in the recycling container, unread. You may want to utilize an inquiry or powerful declaration on the front of the piece to draw attention. Photos give effective aesthetic components. Political brochures should include at least one picture of the candidate. Commonly, a good candidate picture should appear on the cover, in addition to an action shot inside. All the pictures need to make the candidate look great with appropriate dress and text. The last thing you want is to have the potential voters scrutinize your style, feeling, or logo of something in the shot's background. An image can tell 1,000 words. Charts and also graphs can do the exact same thing. Your graphics ought to be simple and clearly highlight your thought. A straightforward explanation under the graph ought to be all you require to make your point. Photos for the sake of using up area just serve to sidetrack from your ideas. When your election brochure layout is completed, it's likely that you or your designer will need to adjust the various aspects to make things fit as well as look appropriately. If there is too much text, the font size may need to be adjusted or the graphics or images resized. You may need to additionally condense your wording. A confined brochure looks poor and is less likely to be read. Put together your material. You have actually limited area to place your material. The objective of your brochure will determine what, specifically, the content will consist of. Composing a brochure as your initial sales piece is different than requesting them to get out to vote or address a specific key issue. If the piece is to communicate to voters why you should be elected, you need to mean it and lay it out for them. Include a list of your experience as well as positions you have had previously. Briefly include your success in various positions. Remember to keep your message short and to the point. This means eliminating any duplication or extra testimonies or endorsements. If you are writing about a specific issue, maintain your points bulleted and short. You may wish to consist of appropriate quotes from others who also have this concern. Include extra campaign info, for example, your campaign website, phone number, email address, and any social media networks you are on. Keep in mind, you have limited space. Don't stuff too much in the message. A lot of space in your layout makes your brochure simpler to read. Ultimately, check the brochure for misspellings and grammatical errors. Have a couple of people review the brochure for readability. Preferably, they should be individuals that were not associated with producing the print item. That way they are objective. From experience, we've found that it's better to restrict the variety of people involved in writing and also editing the brochure. Campaign material developed by the board tends to be indistinct, as the brochure, flyer or pamphlet winds up attempting to cover too many factors in a single item. So what should you consider when printing your campaign brochures? If you are having a company publish your sales brochures or handouts, check their printing requirements and also make sure to offer everything they require. They may require a particular style as well as image resolution. Photos, as well as style elements, should go to at least 300p. Just remember that internet photos are typically 72p, so don't use graphic aspects from your site in a print item. The post office can notify you about requirements that need to be fulfilled for mailing brochures. As an example, there are specific dimensions or bulk mail requirements? The USPS considers election mail as any product mailed to or from authorized election officials or organizations. Lastly, submit a digital version of the election brochure to your campaign internet site to ensure that it is readily available for others to download, share as well as print. Don't forget to include it in your internet press information. If you are looking for campaign literature samples, look no further than your mailbox. Create a file of the best brochures, mailers, and also handouts sent by various other candidates as samples. I hope this information about running for a school board position was helpful to you. Nehemiah Reset has other videos and materials available to candidates running for school board positions on its website. You can find their website at nehemiahreset.org. Thanks for watching and I look forward to seeing you again on one of my other videos.